This is SciByte, episode 59 for August 21st, 2012. Hi everyone and welcome to SciByte, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly science podcast. Fresh every Wednesday morning over at jupiterbroadcasting.com and live on Tuesday evenings at jblive.tv. My name is Chris and joining us every single week is our host, Heather. Hey there, Heather.
Hey there, Chris.
Hey Heather, happy science to you.
Happy science.
What are we talking about today?
Today we're going to take a look at possible treatment for Huntington's disease, heart disease treatment, male contraceptives, pythons, Kennedy Space Center, spacecraft and curiosity updates, and always take a peek back into history and up in the sky this week.
That sounds like a ton of great science. Should we jump into the first news story? You ready?
Let's go.
All right, what is our first SciByte news story this week?
A compound already in biomedical laboratories and emergency room supplies seems to interrupt the formation of neurodegenerative proteins found in Huntington's disease.
Oh, okay.
So breaking that down, because that's
a lot.
tipped me off.
Yeah.
So Huntington's disease is a neurodegenerative genetic disorder. It affects muscle coordination, cognitive decline, psychiatric problems. It breaks down when a certain sequence of the DNA base pairs repeat too often, and you end up with these abnormally long versions of this protein and kind of clumped together and settled in the brain. And then that causes issues.
Okay. That is very interesting. I actually never quite understood that, but that makes a lot of sense.
So now they've seen methylene blue. It's a whole different range of fields, biology, chemistry, a whole bunch of different stuff. It's solid and liquid. But as early as 1897, they're actually using it to treat various ailments.
Okay.
Now, it's never been formally approved for therapy for anything, but because it's there and it's not harmful to humans, something that the treatment for something would hopefully move a lot quicker. Because they've already seen, it's fine, it's working in humans.
They have seen it in some use.
Yeah, they've seen it in some use. It's not detrimental to humans. So when they found that when they mixed this up in the food for a week in this batch of flies, their brain showed the protein clumps had reduced by 87% compared to the control group.
Oh.
And the same thing happened with mice. They saw much better grasping so they can move better. There was less clumpage in the brain. So it's these type of things that it was slowing down. Now it sort of drops off at a certain point.
Oh, really?
Like it works for a little while and then it stops working quite as well.
So it's okay. So does it actually start reversing in a sense?
It halts.
Okay.
I don't know that it actually clears out what clumps are there.
But less effective kind of a thing.
Yeah, if you catch it early, there's no treatment for Huntington's disease. So anything that even delays it, that kind of slows it down, is a really promising treatment. So right now they've got it in, they've got more mouse model testing and sort of giving a better trial before they can move it on to humans. Before they can actually get a better representation of what it's doing. Even
though this chemical has been used on humans before.
Yes.
They can't go right to human testing because...
Well, it's for this specific thing.
Yeah.
It's, go back, aspirin. Lots of people use aspirin. Now, before they can use it to treat things with the heart, as it does now, they have to approve it for that. So they have to go through all sorts of trials that say, yes, this actually is good for this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it's going to be it should be expedited, though, I would think.
Yes, and these type of things that once it has already been cleared by the FDA, then it is expedited trials. It's all about proving on a larger scale that it does actually help, treat this disease.
I was loading up our next story. Well, not our next story, one of our next stories. And it's funny, Heather. All of these kind of lead me to it seems like they should be so close. And both of these stories, I'm looking at I kind of jumped ahead for a second. I didn't mean to, but I look at both these. It seems like these get to, and we've talked about other ones that get to this phase where, well, it really should be a slam dunk. We've talked about the other things. And then they get to this testing phase and then you never hear of them again, ever again. It just goes away. It just completely just disappears.
Well, some of it is, we're following it here very closely, and then...
I'm being impatient is what you're saying?
Well, it takes a while for these things to go through. It's like, we'll talk about one later. Like,
yeah. I know they want to be
mission.
safe, but at the same time, it's like, I want people who are suffering to be able to have access to this stuff, as fast as possible, and you just...
Oh, incredibly so.
Yeah.
And it's, there are long testing procedures. Now, there are things, orphan diseases, where it's, only a handful of people in the world have something. So those are extremely expedited. If there's hardly anybody else, if there's only like a dozen people with this disease in the world, then you pretty much get a lot of experimental drugs.
That makes sense.
So it all depends on, but I mean, something like this, they might expedite, it is definitely, it's all about how well this can help and how much they can get it to the human population. And it may be years before they do it. And sometimes you get this type of thing, and if people realize that it's there, then not that SciByte, condones doing anything against your doctor, but some people start doing it, without medical discretion.
Did you read in any of the reports of what the side effects were of this methylene blue and if it could be toxic?
No, I don't think it can. I mean, it has nothing obvious. I mean, it's been used since, before 1900.
So people are getting their hands on it and trying it regardless then?
Well,
because they're just not even waiting.
Well, I didn't see any reports of that, but I know there have been other diseases. A couple people in the chat room talked about Lorenzo's oil. That was sort of a grassroots, I don't remember the exact details, but sort of figuring it out. And even before it was, I believe before it was, quote unquote, medically cleared, that, I'm not even sure that it is completely cleared yet, that people were using it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if somebody finds out that it's working, then they might use it before.
Yeah.
So it all depends. And, SciByte says you should talk to your doctor, but...
SciByte recommends you talk to your doctor. And not just the internet doctor, but a real doctor.
No, like a real doctor. But it is very hopeful. I mean, these kind of things, I even saw that briefly mentioned that this type of thing, cousin-related, similar, Alzheimer's and other things that are all about things clumping up or, dust in the brain. Something is gathering in the brain. So, things that'll clear this out. And how to do that in various different ways, can make steps forward in a whole bunch of different, diseases.
Well, it says I don't know if I missed the number, but it says that it's estimated that 25,000 to 30,000 individuals live with Huntington disease in the U.S. right now. So. I can see what you're saying. It's not even like that's not a huge number when you look at the overall population. So it is hard. I do see your point about how it's hard to test and how it's, they don't have a lot of cases to work with.
Yeah. I mean, there is a point where, methylene blue, it's, does giving someone, random person in the population do anything, then you've cleared it that it's not going to harm, but you're pretty sure of that anyway. So they prove it in the mice brains because the reason there's so many mice tests is their brain sort of acts similar to the human brain for these type of things. The drugs worked on it will work very similar.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So they'll clear it that it actually works for that, in that way. And then
they can measure it and say, we showed that at this ratio it would do this, etc. They can get some sort of science behind it, and then they can figure out how to dosage it out.
Yeah, and for diseases where there are no cure, then even things that simply slow it are major steps forward and can be approved, and lots of people can use it to see what's going on.
Fascinating times. And another interesting medical breakthrough followed by the SciByte program. We've got a whole list of them. I mean, it seems like every week you've got a new one that is pretty fascinating. And you never know. It gives you hope. You hope. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I don't think so.
All right, Heather, then why don't we take a pause? And I want to plug something that I don't think we've ever mentioned on this show before. That is the Pluto Files, the rise and fall of America's favorite planet, a topic which we have broached a few times on this show. So if you would like to support the SciByte program, you can head over to our show notes and click on the link to the Pluto Files. And Heather has gone out and found it in both book form for Kindle or paperback or hardcover if you want it, and also in DVD form.
That's right.
Which would probably be my preferred way to watch this one.
Yeah.
But this is an excellent series by Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And of course, don't forget, I know we've been reminding you folks, Guild Wars 2, last chance to get it before it launches, and the early start is this weekend, right?
This weekend. Yeah.
So if you want to grab that while you can, you'll get a link. You can find a link to that in the show notes as well. And the buzz has been pretty excited over it. I've been following some of the people in the Jupiter Force fleet for Stowe who are watching this one very closely, and it sounds very fun. So go check out links to that if you'd like to support the program. Also, if you don't want to worry about having to click on links, just go to the very bottom of JupiterBroadcasting.com, and down there you will find links to our Chrome extension and our Firefox extension. You install those into your browser, and like magic, it'll automatically tag the sites that participate in our affiliate program, and you don't even have to think about it. Then when you're doing some shopping, you get yourself something, and you give Jupiter Broadcasting a little something. And thank you to everybody who supports the shows by doing that. All right, Heather. Well, with all of that done, let's get into the SciByte News Bite. Ooh, very dramatic. All right, Heather, what is the first story in the SciByte News Bite?
Heart disease treatment. Researchers at King's College in London have actually developed the first artificial functioning blood vessels outside of the body, and they've actually made them from reprogrammed stem cells from human skin.
Whoa. So they're able to grow blood vessels outside the body?
Yes, they actually finally did it. These are the skin stem cells, so you can actually take it from the patient itself. You can take the stem cells from their skin so that there's
no rejection.
Yeah, there's really no rejection because it is you. And so they're able to inject those cells. Maybe you could do that and then inject it into a leg or a heart to restore blood flow. So you can graft these vessels into the body, either completely replace or, put it inside the vessel to sort of give it a double wall, sort of to, help strengthen it.
Wow. And, that would be normally something where they'd have to take a vein from your, say, from your leg or something like that. And, as the article points out, heart disease is the biggest killer in the UK and the US, right?
Yeah.
So this seems pretty critical.
Oh, yeah. And not even just heart disease, but diabetic patients with poor circulation to their legs. This type of thing could be aided to that and possibly prevent leg amputation.
Oh, very good point. Wow. And so they can just take they don't have to have any special needle in your spine kind of a thing. They just take a slice of your skin and they can do it from that?
I'm not entirely sure about how the process is from that, but yeah, sort of like that. As far as I can tell, it's that sort of that sort of thing. So
yeah, it says it demonstrates that a new type of partial stem cell developed from skin cells can be programmed into vascular cells.
And there's no risk of tumors either. With other types of stem cells, there are risk of tumors because it's this whole, multiplying cell that's able to do things, and there's a chance of tumors actually growing from that.
The process of developing into these vascular cells from skin cells only took 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which makes personalized. That makes it like, well, all right, Mr. Fisher, we'll take a graft to your skin, and then you come back in 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll install your new blood vessels.
Yeah, it's really fast turnaround. There's no rejection, and there's so much potential for heart disease or diabetic patients and all these type of things to be able to restore blood flow.
Wow,
or to replace blocked or damaged vessels.
That is going to be huge.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get me a burger, number one. And number two, this is the beginning of something we are about to embark on. You are going to be reporting on this show in a few years' time that I can now pre-order a new lung or a new heart or a new liver that's been like taken from my own parts and grown. You watch.
Oh, you never know.
I mean, that's great, right? That's creepy great. Yeah. It's creepy great.
Yeah.
It's creepy great.
And this specifically is promising to me. Both of my grandfathers had quadruple bypass surgeries. So, being able to do things be able to replace blocked and damaged vessels
now
in the
I'm
heart.
worried about you. And you're kind of high strung.
Really?
What am I gonna do about that? Oh no! See,
science has me have an outlet.
Yeah. Science will solve Heather's problem.
Science is great.
Wow. So you guys got to go check out the article in the show notes. Well, Heather actually busted out a ton of great points in the show notes directly. If you want to skim those, if you want to read the whole thing though, she's got a link to it. This is awesome.
Yeah. And that that it's such a quick turnaround, and these could be used. They even say that they could be used for regenerative treatment and drug screening to find out how to do new treatments to tackle inherited diseases, all these different types of things.
Wow. Very awesome. Very awesome. All right. Well, with that said, should we move on to the 2Byte News?
Let's go.
2Byte News. The 2Byte News. 2Byte News. Oh, yeah. On SciByte. 2Byte News. All right, Heather, what is the first story of the 2Byte? Can we do it again? That was fun.
It changes every time.
Yeah. People write lyrics for us, and then we just have to, change it up every time.
Yeah.
All right, what is our first story in the 2Byte News?
Compound named JQ1, which was originally developed as a cancer therapy, also is a cause of reversible infertility in male mice.
Really? Speaking of testing things on mice.
Yes. So, JQ1 originally as an anti-cancer agent is specifically designed to stop the cell division, in certain types of aggressive skin cancer. It's all about that out of control cell division. So they found that this could actually target developing sperm before it starts to reproduce. They actually
and it only targets that. It doesn't target anything else cell-wise in the body.
No, it's not doing anything else. They actually did 6 weeks of injections to these little mice, and it cut down like 90%. So it was an enormous drop in sperm. And actually, after 3 months of treatment, none of them were able to sire offspring. No real apparent side effects. And testosterone or hormones.
Right, this is hormone free, which the article kind of makes a point to point out. So that seems like that's really good.
Yeah, and a month or two after the treatment stopped, they all could be papas again. And they haven't seen any side effects in the mice or in the offspring of the mice.
Yeah.
But
do you know if they are seeking any male test subjects?
Not yet. They're still kind of looking at it. I mean, the
lifespans
of mice
if they came down, they said,
long-term.
If they said, Mr. Fisher, there's a 70% chance it is not reversible, I'd say sign me up. I mean, really.
It's more about long-term effects. I mean, mice don't live all that long.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of strange to be able.
It could turn your testicles into rocks after 10 years for all they know.
Science is broken. You broke.
All right. Well, here, let me
get us
back on track. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
This is pretty exciting. Do we know how far out this is in terms of like? Is it still pretty out there on the edges, or is this something we might see in the next couple of years?
No, not the next couple of years. They're still looking to go to primate experiments, but they're really expensive and funding is scarce. So, it's not ready for testing, but is sort of a promising lead.
There you go. Well, that's great. And so they're going to do primate testing, huh?
That's what the next step is. It's just that's pretty expensive, so they have to wait until they have the money for that.
I wonder how they screen the monkeys for that job. We should do a SciByte on that.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so moving right along, should we talk about a phobia for snakes?
Yes, if you have a problem with snakes, probably should turn
that's
the
a warning
volume
right
down.
there. Yeah.
Just for a couple of minutes and then come back to SciByte. It's definitely okay.
All right, brace yourselves.
Yes. A 17.7 foot long, over 160 pound Burmese python was captured in the Everglades in Florida.
No.
Yes, it is the biggest snake of that species ever found.
I'm sorry, did you say 17 foot?
Yes, almost 18 foot. 17.7 foot.
That's a really big snake.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah, they bring it in on like a pallet, and then they have to put it on this huge freaking long table.
Well,
and
it's like a whole bunch of those like tables like lined up together.
It seems pretty chill. Did they drug it? Do you know? I mean, it seems like it's
dead.
Oh, well, that's definitely why it seems pretty chill then.
It's dead, Jim.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so, if anybody didn't know, the pythons are not native to Florida. They were brought in and they were captured or dumped into the wild in the 1990s. And these huge constrictors are just taking over. And now, in a couple of years, they'll actually be part of the native fauna in the next decade or so. But this specific one, it'll end up being displayed in the Florida Museum of Natural History. But they actually, did a necropsy and they checked. She had 87 eggs as a female.
Wow. That's a lot of reproducing.
Yeah, another record for the species. So it's sort of more evidence that it's, they're there, they're breeding, they're set. I mean, there's a python patrol in Florida. They've even given up eradicating them. They're just sort of trying to stop the spread to, sensitive areas and like bird breeding spots and such.
So they're flourishing.
Yeah, yes, they're completely flourishing. They're going to be part of the native wildlife essentially in the next couple decades.
Huh. Yikes.
Yes, well, they really like the warm, moist, Everglades, swampy area.
Yeah.
They're happy there.
I guess so.
Growing quite big now.
Wow. Well, okay. So if you're snake sensitive, we're done with the snake talk. So
yes.
Although I don't know how you would know that, but
I don't know.
Hopefully we've given you some time.
Yeah, I told him to dial down just a minute.
Yeah. Okay, so this looks really, really, really cool as somebody who would love to actually travel to Kennedy Space Center. This might be right up my alley.
Oh, yes. We've talked about Google Map.
Oh, yeah.
So we did it, the Amazon a while back, and you can kind of go down the trails. They actually have one for the Kennedy Space Center now.
Oh, this is cool. Okay.
It has the space shuttle. It's even before everything got tore down. So you can actually see Atlantis and Endeavour there. So they're there. You can get to the space shuttle launch pad, and it has like these different areas, like ground floor, 25, 94 top. So you can like go up to specific like stories, like the height where the astronauts would have climbed into the space shuttle, or at the very, very top.
This is really great that Google has preserved this in a sense.
Yeah, well, that was a lot of the point, is go in before everything was really starting to deconstruct, because a lot of those things aren't there now.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the buildings aren't there now. So it was like, I sat there and I was like wandering around. I was like, woo! It was so much fun.
The ability to document things like that is really going to be, like, that'd be great. Plop that down in front of some kids, right? And like at a school, and have them go check it out. That's a tool that is just available to them now.
Yeah, so it was, I did this on my Twitter account. I was like, oh, pardon me, I'm going to go on a digital vacation now. I'm gone for a little while.
And they're just put on like some 3D glasses, and that would be really kind of a great experience. Maybe get some like some background Space Center sounds and things like that, and really be immersed.
There you go.
Well, that's cool. All right, so should we talk about hover technology? Because this is something ever since Back to the Future that I've been waiting on.
Yes, it's pretty much just a YouTube video with a little bit of description, but company Aeroflex has designed a hover rover vehicle. And say that 10 times fast. Say that once slow. And it responds to your a pilot's natural sense of balance. So he kind of leans this way or leans that way, and it's actually being able to steer it.
Ooh, that'd probably feel really cool.
There's no flight control software. There's no computer needed to jam up and go crazy.
Huh.
So it's he's just able to have a natural sense of lean forward and turn this way.
Keep it natural. Keep it intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And simple. And you said, less prone to failure.
Mm-hmm. As long as you're...
Oh my gosh, I want this.
Yeah, I know. I saw that and I was like, whoa. That's
Especially,
crazy.
Even if it could only just do it for a little while, if I could just hover up over traffic, that'd be great.
Well, this one's only hovering so many inches above the ground. And it's nice, straight, level ground.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they seem to be specifically gone to a location that has very flat ground.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's definitely a great idea of a way to control a vehicle like this.
Oh yeah.
And one that feels like you could sit down on and just kind of get it, because if you're going to lean that way to make a turn, I'm almost leaning just watching the video.
Yeah, you kind of watch as well. They seem to lean forward, lean to the side. You're like, no, steer that way. I don't want to go that way.
Yeah. See, so I think you could pick that up pretty quick too, which is pretty cool. Well, brace yourself, Heather, because the SciByte computer is flashing a proximity. Whoa! Oh, it's the proximity alert telling me we have a spacecraft update.
Yes, we haven't quite heard about this one before, but it is an update. X-51A, the Wave Rider hypersonic scramjet, kind of broke apart.
Oh, is this the super crazy fast Air Force?
Yes, they were hoping to reach Mach 12 to Mach 24. Yeah. So that's 24 times the speed of sound, 18,000 miles an hour.
It's a little craft they launched almost like a missile.
Yeah, and it's a scramjet, which means it doesn't have any moving parts. Its engine literally just
burns?
Sucks in. Well, it sucks in the air that there's a hole in the middle of it, and the atmosphere flies through it. And that's actually they're able to use that to heat it and able to... Now I'm going to really mess this up if I try to go too far into how this works. I don't want to break the science here.
Yeah, that's okay. It's very fast. It almost looks like it has a deflector dish, but so it has sort of some sort of air intake that it must be using for the oxygen or for whatever the fire needs to burn. This is a very cool toy, and the idea is you could get across the U.S. in a crazy amount of time, right? Or theoretically across the ocean.
Yeah, could cut 18-hour trip from Tokyo to New York City in less than 2 hours.
That would be awesome. Now, of course, the secret to this thing's ability to go fast is that it must be incredibly light, right?
Yeah, and because there's no moving parts, you can just go but unfortunately, there was a control failure. It broke apart after about 200 seconds.
Oh.
Actually, that was a test in 2011, failed after that. But this one, not long after it launched, it had a failure. It broke apart. So about 15 seconds after launch. But
these
hopefully
things happen.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully the next one will be more successful.
I mean, you haven't heard anything this doesn't they're not scuttling the project from this, right? This isn't.
Oh goodness, no, they won't scuttle this.
So there is actually. So we were trying to science our way through how the engine works. Mm-hmm. Heather included a video that you guys can go check out if you like, linked in the show notes. They've actually got a diagram of how the whole intake system works. So if you were curious on how something can do this with the speed it does without any moving parts, go check out the video. Heather put it in the show notes.
That way, I won't break the science.
Don't want to break the science.
See the fuel air combustion right there on the YouTube and get it for yourself.
It is actually a really cool. We are doing such neat things. So,
yeah,
and it's. I don't know. I don't know if this will be something that's directly applicable to some sort of civil transport unit, since it it would require a much larger engine, I would think. But you never know, right? You never know. Think about how much more accessible that would make traveling somewhere. It'd be really cool.
And Durs in the chat room was like, "Oh no, what about the pilot?" Now there, as Crash said, there are no pilots. At this point, going at that speed, I don't know whether they'd be able to hook something up, and that would require a very large craft to be able to hook it up so that it was safe for human, and then they could actually take the speed.
Now, we've been thinking and talking a lot about Curiosity, but in a few years, maybe a lot of years, we might be talking about a totally new Mars probe, right? Is it a probe? Is it a rover? What is it?
It is a new lander.
Okay.
It is just got a it's a low budget planetary mission. It was called InSight. It's to determine whether the Mars's core is liquid or solid. It'll have 4 instruments, to measure rotation axis, seismic waves, heat going through the planet's interior. So it's got to have a whole bunch of things to measure, and it just got approval. Now, it won't actually launch for quite a few years. 2016 launch.
Right.
But step one is good to go.
Yeah. Okay. And did I read? Maybe do you know any more about this? That they canceled another NASA project in order to help fund this one. Does that ring any bells with you?
Oh, they might have. I try to not look at the sad. I was like, "Ooh, cool! Something got approved."
Yeah, no, it is very cool. And and while Curiosity is poking things, this will be drilling down, which is really awesome. So
yep,
can't wait.
We'll be able to see the more interior information.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of Curiosity, why don't we do a
liftoff of the Atlas V with Curiosity?
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
All right, Heather. So why don't we do our Curiosity rover update?
Every time I'm still cheering. I was like, "Woo!" Okay.
I know.
So, a little bit before Curiosity. So there was one of the mechanical engineers on the team actually created a, Curiosity rover model in Legos.
No, come on.
Yes, and so Lego has this site, Kusu, where you can go on and be like, make this awesome model.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
And you can post it up, and if you get 10,000 votes, then it'll go forward in a step, and they'll actually look at it to see if it they want to make it. And I tweeted out, I was like, "Oh my gosh, go." And it was the most retweets I've ever gotten. Not that it was, hundreds, but it was a whole bunch of retweets for me. Everyone go, "Be a science hero." And it did. It got its 10,000th vote, and actually got it pretty quick. It got onto Reddit, and then it exploded from there.
Oh, cool.
So it's, so it's in the stages where they're actually going to look at now, because it got so many votes so quickly. They may and because actually the guy made it so that it's only parts used that Lego is currently making in current models, in certain current kits.
Okay.
So it might be fast tracked. And he actually had something else where he made, the pack that had it coming down. He made that too. So I heard that they actually kind of indicated to him that they might be interested in that as well.
Like a little snap-on jetpack.
Yeah. Well, it's like the jetpack over Curiosity.
Yeah.
And it even had little clear flames coming out of some of the corners.
Yeah.
So they're like, that's pretty cool.
That's a nice touch.
We really like that. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I know that Curiosity actually started getting busy this week, didn't it? It actually started doing a few things.
The real Curiosity, it shot its laser.
The laser has been fired.
It has been fired for the first time on Mars. The laser has been fired. August 19th, the Kim Comet hit a fist-sized rock called Coronation. It hit with 30 pulses of laser in 10 seconds. And they were able to use that to ionize glowing plasma, and then another Kim-Cam. They're able to take the spectrometer. Yeah, spectrometer to catch the light from that and analyze it. So they were able to see what elements in the target. And actually, they're hoping to actually look at it to be able to see, was the start the same as the end? So are we kind of digging down into a different layer of the rock?
Huh. Very cool. And to kind of like tie it all in, NASA released like their own YouTube report of it.
Yeah.
And they're featuring Mohawk Guy on it.
Yes.
I love it. They're like, all right, they're just embracing Mohawk Guy now. And they're like, Mohawk Guy is going to be our face. Everybody loves Mohawk Guy.
Yeah. Yeah, they do these rover reports every week. I'll have links to them in the show notes so that you can kind of check in. And it's sort of just a couple minutes telling somebody from the team, telling where they stand in SciByte in Curiosity.
Yeah. This one was only a minute 20, so you can go check it out. Link is in the show notes, and you basically on this one they're covering all the stuff that's turned on now and how it works, and it's hosted by Mohawk Guy. So everybody loves Mohawk Guy. Yeah, everybody loves Mohawk Guy.
Does he have a name? No, his name is Mohawk Guy.
Well, what is his name? He does. I'm sure they. His name is Bob Fredowski.
He has a real name.
Bob.
See, when you said Bob, I was like, is he gonna totally fake this?
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. My eyes are blanking out. It's Bobak.
Bobak. Ferdozy.
I swear, my eyes are. I did not see the AK at the. I just saw. I thought how strange.
You said just Bob, and I'm like, you're totally making a name up. Totally making a name up.
I don't know. I think I read Bob and I just started laughing inside because I thought, how funny is it the Mohawk Guy's name is Bob? Okay. I didn't mean to step on anything else on Curiosity.
Okay. The robot arm. It actually was able to flex its arm for the first time. It was able to go through, a series of, test maneuvers to make sure that it was working, checked out all 5 joints, extended them all the way back to, it's 7 feet long, and then was able to fold it back up into its travel position. So they've got that move. They've kind of stretched their arm. They fired their laser. They're getting ready. They're going to be pretty close to doing their first movement. So they'll pretty much just go forward, turn, and then come back.
Huh.
So it's going to be a very short jaunt for the first time. But they're kind of going through, and as the video said, they've gone through all these different, all the different instruments and been checking them out. And now they have the laser they've checked out. They've checked out the arm. So it's kind of one step at a time, and then we'll be ready to actually start roving.
Oh boy. And then we'll get all kinds of interesting little SciByte updates. All right, Heather. Well, then I think we'll leave Curiosity Rover off to do its mini task. You and I, though, we need to jump in the time machine. Let's go. Come on. Close the door. Close the door.
Gosh.
Yep. I always can tell when it's a short one because it's kind of got this weird vibration to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like, when you got like a one tire that's kind of a little low. This one takes us to 6 years ago, August 24th, 2006.
That's right. Pluto was declassified as a planet by the International Astronomical Union.
And the internet erupted.
Yeah, everyone erupted. They didn't say it's no longer a planet. It is a dwarf planet.
Okay. All right.
Because, it had a small size, smaller than the moon. It was highly elliptical orbit, very tilted, which overlaps out of Neptune. It actually is inside the orbit of Neptune for a number of years. So.
You're just kind of rubbing it at this point, though.
Look, if they had proved, they don't really had a proper definition of planet. Never.
Right.
So essentially they got to the point and they came down to, if we include Pluto, there are like a whole bunch of other things that are going to be planets too. The largest asteroid in the asteroid belt, it was going to be classified as a planet suddenly. So they kind of had to separate it out. We're like, okay, there's this whole bunch of things that they're kind of almost. They're just missing a little bit. They're just missing the shot by a little. So we'll call them dwarf planets.
And there you go. And Pluto's status was changed forever just 6 years ago, folks. Just 6 years ago. So
that's why we had some of the Pluto files going on in the show.
So it ties back in with our picks this week. So go,
because poor Neil deGrasse Tyson gets blamed for a lot of it because he has the big space center in New York. And he's setting it all up, and he's got the solar system, and he's like, we're not going to have Pluto up there.
All in all, though, I think it's been good for his career.
Oh, you made him totally famous.
I think it put him on the map, right?
Now there was a lot of hate going his way. Was I watched one show where he goes to the home of the family of the guy who discovered Pluto.
Oh no, really?
He's like, all right. I looked at the television crew there. He's like, all right, I might get kicked out soon.
I never even thought about it from that angle.
He's like, I'm gonna go talk to them. Wow. So he goes and they don't actually show him talking to them, but he comes out and he's like, okay, they've kind of sort of forgiven me. It's like this feeling where it's like, it's kind of brave of you to go in there, dude.
Yeah, really. Although the cameras didn't go in with him, that'd have been really interesting, but maybe uncomfortable. Might have been a little awkward.
Yeah, because you want them to be able to say what they want, and you want them to be able to have the privacy.
Yeah.
But I remember specifically he goes and talks.
Cool. All right. Well, you know what, Heather? What?
Before we hit the looking up button, I had one more quick note.
Okay.
Voyager 2 just celebrated its 35th birthday on Monday. Means it's the longest running mission ever for NASA. Respect. Yep.
No doubt. It's a mission running longer than probably some people that are working at NASA. Well, of course, then some people are working at NASA. All right. Well, now let me recalibrate the SciByte computer, Heather, so that way I can focus our enormous science telescope up in the sky this week.
That's right. On Wednesday, we've been talking about it for a little while. At twilight, Saturn, Spica, Mars, still visible. They'll be to the right, to the lower right of the moon at twilight as the week goes on. Friday, we have the first quarter moon, so you can see it about there. And Saturday, a couple hours before sunrise, you'll be able to see the constellation of Orion starting to come into view on the eastern horizon. So it's one of the major constellations that people can actually identify. So kind of toss that in as you'll start being able to see that, and totally, unbiased, because it's my favorite constellation, but, completely unbiased.
Okay,
it's a very visual one that people can identify.
Right. That'll be a very, very pretty sky then. I like that.
Yes.
All right. Well, there you go. It's the whole show, yes?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, of course, everyone, we encourage you to join us live on Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific over at jblive.tv. And you can then catch SciByte fresh for download on demand over at jupiterbroadcasting.com Wednesday mornings. And download just about any format you could want and find links to all the different topics Heather covered also in the show notes. And also, please consider using those Amazon links to support the show. Heather, speaking of show, great show this week. Thanks so much.
Great show.
All right, Heather, well, we'll talk to you and everybody else. Just join us right back here next week.